Hey there. So earlier I had this stream that felt like it was an extension of the last journal reading that I did, but I haven't been able to find it again because I went off and did a bunch of stuff. So I don't know. But here I am, in case the message wants to start coming out again. Yeah. Oh, I'm really thirsty. I need to... I'm looking at... I have 3 bottles of water right there next to my bed. But I don't know if water's gonna cut it, but that's basically all I have. I just ate some pretzel flips. You know, they're chocolate coated pretzels. I went into a convenience store today for the first time in a long time. I realized I have not been in a convenience store. Holy crap with the prices. And also it was kind of nice that nothing really looked good. But I did feel like I wanted some chocolate. So I did get the pretzel flips and I just ate a bunch and they were good. And instead of going right into my juice fast, I have just not felt there yet. I missed 3 days of juicing, and so now 2 days in on being back on juicing, and so that could have something to do with it, that I just kind of went 3 days without any juice at all. And also, when I ran out of groceries, and I was gonna commence the juice fast, so I wasn't gonna buy any more groceries, but instead I started getting takeout for the 2 things that I love to eat, which is crispy sushi and fish and chips, if they're hand-cut fries. So, and if it's fresh fish. I don't want none of that frozen breaded stuff like the local House of Pizza place serves. Anyways, I have also, though, been respecting my body as an endomorph and just trying to get myself exerted without overdoing it, not sustaining it for more than 10 minutes. Because apparently when you're an endomorph, if you sustain the exertion for more than 10 minutes, and I'm talking the exertion of when you get exhausted, that kind of exertion. If you proceed more than 10 minutes in that state as an endomorph, it causes your metabolism to slow right down. So, I'm not eating very much. So my metabolism can't be slowed down. It's just, I'm still figuring out the puzzle that is my body and me, I guess is a short way of saying all of that. Also maybe sort of a confession and an update for, if you're expecting me to follow through on what I told you about myself. I will, but maybe just not on your timeline, in my own time. Sorry, I feel like there's pretzel in my tooth and I just want to make sure I get it out before I smile. What could the extension of that reading be? So that reading that we did, the general message, the basic premise of it was that something wasn't working for you, and it was causing tension between friends and relatives, and maybe coworkers, and bosses, or employees, and I don't think you really recognized it because in your shadow, and the reason, and everything seemed like you were doing the right thing, right? Because you were doing what you're supposed to do. But there was this side effect of the fact that you were doing everything that you were supposed to do from within a box that said, I must do this, instead of kind of being in touch with the flow of things and yourself and other people on a very authentic level. Maybe one of the things that could happen when you're operating in that way is that you expect other people to be how you expect them to be, right? Because you operate on like this when this is the case, right? Like you're doing what you're supposed to do. You might be then expecting them to do what they're supposed to do. It's like, oh, this is their role in this. They're going to do this, this, and this. Like you just like put them in a category, right? And have an expectation of how they will proceed. But because you're operating like this, you're not taking into account that people are sovereign, have free will, being led by their curiosity, their inner urges, their intuition. And there's no prescribed way of being a human, especially humans that are evolving, growing, ascending, spiritual awakenings. Anyone who has a growth mindset is always going to be subject to change, right? It's like the people who are predictable are the people who are in programmed responses. So that would be that person. Not on everything, but on that particular topic of however they were operating in such a way that was causing tension between themselves and others in their lives. And I lost it again. Well, here's what I want to say about it. It's like, it's okay, right? Like, whatever you're doing you're doing it for a reason. Like, there's a very good reason why you adopted that way of operating. And it has served you well up until this point. And so when it comes up in the reading and it says, oh, it's time to kind of change this way of being, it's not to shame you and it's not to say that you're bad or wrong. It's to say, like, you're at this stage of maturation where you're ready to address this particular thing. You're ready to understand this from a different way. You're ready to see it a different way, because it served you to a degree up to where you are now. And by having it, you learned specific things that you wouldn't have learned otherwise, Yeah. I feel like if someone were to happen upon that reading and not have a lot of preface of like having watched my readings before, that could be a difficult reading for them because I was very blunt and I didn't give a lot of direction on how to handle it. If you've watched a lot of my readings, then you know that I have this formula that I say a lot, and it's acknowledge, validate, accept, and be present with. And that's because that is the formula that I use to disengage, become humble, neutralize my own point of view. And that's what you could do to do the same. And once you've neutralized from your own point of view, now you're in the middle and balance, and you can see that there's another way of thinking about it too. So it's like essentially freeing yourself, expanding your awareness. It's spiritually awakening. You could also call it healing, understanding, growing, maturing, however you want to label it, Yeah. Like, and the reason that I do these readings overall is not to shame and blame or say, look, oh, look, I see you in your shadow. It's literally meant to be a resource, because when I'm delivering these messages, like, yes, I do want to get to the point. Yes, I want to be direct. Yes, I want to be blunt. But it doesn't mean that I don't care. It doesn't mean that I want to, like, drop you on your head and, like, say, ha, now you can't unsee it and you must deal with that within yourself. Ha ha ha. No. That's not, like, the reason why I offer these things in the way that I offer them, I hope that it's coming through, that I am just matter-of-facting my way through it. Because it is just matter of fact. It's not a thing to judge. It's not a thing to shame or blame or be like, how dare you. These are like literal just ways humans are. This is what it is to be human. And when we find ourselves in suffering, it's a lot of times rooted in something in our shadow that we're not even aware of we're doing. So, if I can see in the dark, if I can see into the shadow, and like illuminate it for you, then you can switch things around and free yourself from the limitation, and free yourself from where it was hurting, where you were suffering due to it. Then then if you achieve that, then you are in line with the reason that I'm doing these. It's because I learned how to free myself, and I am passing that along as like, look, we got everything to, like there's this thing that we can do to unlock ourselves and be conscious creators here on earth, where we have like no need to suffer. Like, and it's a different kind of life, right? When you are feeling that versus when you are in suffering. And I spent a lot of years in suffering, 40. 40. And you might be like, well, what, even when you were a baby you were suffering? Well, when I was born, I started turning blue for the first 3 days of my life. My spirit kept trying to leave my body because it was such a low density for me to be in. And my grandmother died on the third day of my life. And so the 3 adults that were in the household where I was brought home to were in mourning over the loss of someone they loved very much. And so the bonding process was broken. I was also, in my mom's belly. She was pregnant with me, and she was homeless. So, these are the programs that were like put into me to deal with and overcome. So just seeing life through that lens for my first 40 years or whatever was painful. Seeing life through the lens of lack, there isn't enough, I'm not enough, it's not safe here, my needs will not be met. Those things are very hard to live with, and when you're living with those kind of things, it feels bad to be alive, And for me to kind of like get out of all of those and then see things from the perspective I'm in, like the next natural step, of course, was for me to say, hey guys, like if anyone else is suffering like this, like we don't have to. And I knew other people were suffering, of course, because there were people in my family. I can hear people complaining. I also had spent time in mental health groups. I have seen counselors for years, and saw other patients coming and going. And I think my time in an online mental health group, a website where a bunch of people who were deemed mentally ill would congregate. I think my many years in that environment clued me into just how big the suffering was of others, because I would spend time getting to know people, and it wasn't like we were doing shallow stuff, because all we had was our words. All we had was, our communication. So that's where we got to know each other. And so I got to know a lot of the depths of people's suffering through what they were willing to share. And it really was a beautiful little community, to be honest. I'm very fond of all of those people, and I haven't thought about them in a long time, to be honest, but just now thinking about them, really, really beautiful people, because I was very outspoken then, and I thought I had a lot to say, and so I would blog and share on the forums, and I would run my mouth a lot, and I feel like I definitely put my foot in my mouth a few times, but most of the time I felt self-righteous in my expression, and that was accepted. Like, there were people there that didn't care what I was doing. They weren't there to hate on me. They're just like, whatevs, And that to me was like, yay, a place where I can just act on this impetus to express, and it's just whatevs. I know I did start navigating away from that group when I kind of started like having my spiritual awakening enhance and finding out how important it was to pay attention to what I was thinking, and then being around the people who were suffering and thinking negatively became, I knew that it wasn't good for me anymore, because you really are like influenced by the people that you spend the most time with in life. So even if I was trying to grow and for myself, if I had stayed around the group of people who were all in suffering, who didn't see things that way and didn't want to, because trust me, I offered it to all of them. Everyone in my family, everyone in the mental health group, everyone for a long time, all they got from me was, hey, you can fix that. Hey, this can be better. Hey, look what I've learned. And what I got was a lot of rejection. So I had to move away from them, even my family members, for a time. Now I'm back with my family members, but it's different now because I've seen the programs for what they are. And now I can kind of like go into interactions with certain family members that are still unhealed and hold myself in such a way where I don't get drained by it, and it's not like an everyday thing that I'm spending time with those particular ones. Like the most that I spend time with are my sons, my granddaughters, and they're actually, I don't know if it's influenced just by spending time with me or what, but all I see is growth there. All I see is growth, and I honor everything that they do. Like they don't have to be growing, and they don't even have to be making the decisions that I agree with for me to love them and be there as an unconditionally loving mother, And I understand that I need to have boundaries even when it comes to my children, right? Like I understand that if someone was ever doing something dysfunctional, that they would take me down with them if I don't like hold myself strong, right? And luckily, thankfully, that's not the case for my children. So we've all kind of been growing and learning through this process, even if they don't particularly understand or agree with everything I'm doing or talking about. Just in taking good care of myself and spending time with them, it's kind of like we are a sum of the people that we spend the most time with. It's like they are a sum of me too, right? I'm in that mix. And I really got to grow a lot in my relating dynamics when I did spend time with them, and I could see when they would speak up and they would say, well, I kind of hate it when you say that, Mom. I kind of hate it when you keep doing that. And I would look at myself and I would grow too, because it mattered to me, So, and that's one of the things that I've so appreciated about my boys, is their ability to grow and understand and want to be decent. They're not like out here trying to hurt people. They're not committing crimes. And, I'm just really thankful for seeing how they handle difficult relating dynamics in the family as well. So I forgot why I got on that tangent. Oh, I was talking about how I kind of got to this point of wanting to share about what I had learned to alleviate suffering. And so kind of like, when I do these readings, it's kind of like when I talk to my children. It's like I'm just sharing in a way that I aim to be benign, but I'm also not really sugarcoating, and I'm respecting and expecting that you're going to manage yourself and that you're going to speak up and that you have good boundaries, because that's what I get from my children. They speak up, they have good boundaries. They don't let me, or they did not in the past when I unconsciously tried to dominate them, and now I'm much more respectful as a person. And so I hope that comes through in my relating to you as well, because it's important to me that, like, even though we're always seem to be focused on shadow work. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm trying to always look at your shadow. It just has everything to do with the fact that that's what I naturally see. But I always see it in the context of, there's something to learn here. This person is learning. This person is having an experience. I am respectful of and honoring of that as your process, and I can't help but see in the dark. Like, if you were to, I don't know if you know something about astrology, but I'm going to share a little bit about my astrology. And so what I think the astrology is, it's like the energy that I'm coming into work with in this lifetime. So I master these energies, right? But like, they are the lens through which I'm working to achieve certain things. So I have a Scorpio sun, and I have a Scorpio Mercury, and I have a Scorpio North Node, and I have a bunch of other asteroids in Scorpio, and I also have Uranus in Scorpio, which is a generational aspect, which so a lot of people my age and younger, a little bit like 10 years younger probably, have Uranus in Scorpio. And the other thing is, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. And I have Pluto conjunct Venus. So what that means, when you have like Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, that means my Venus is flavored by Scorpio themes as well. So Venus is my love, money, and my beauty. So you'll see Scorpio themes around all of these things, but mine's in Libra. My Venus and Pluto conjunction, those, when they're stuck together, they're in Libra, but they're also in the 8th house. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. So I can just naturally see into the dark, and Libra helps me want to balance it out. And my sun is in the 9th house, so it automatically makes me want to look at it from a higher point of view. So I'm very fortunate in that way that when I'm deep diving, I can go real deep. But I always have what it takes to either come into balance, which makes you float, or to purposely bring my mind up to see it from a bigger picture view. So that's, I think, why I can do both of those things, which is honor your process, but also see your shadow. And I'm hoping and aiming always to use that to everyone's highest good. Mine, yours. Like, I'm not trying to play with people or act like you're all bad and wrong, and and I can see your boo-boos and like, take care of them. No, not like that at all. Not at all. I hope that that, like, when I'm sharing, it's because I want you to know that there is a way out of it. There is a way to balance it out and not have to suffer it. I'm really, really, really thankful that I found my way, because I did not like suffering. I didn't like living life before I alchemized all of my bullshit, So, yeah. Anything else? So when I'm talking like the way I'm doing, and I'm sharing these videos, it's like, you matter too, but like, it's up to, I leave it up to you. So if you do come to these readings and you haven't done the part of your life where you actually like caretake yourself, where you honor what you want, where you respect your needs, where you focus on how you feel and honor it, like, then it could be rough here. So just keep in mind that that's part of our agreement, is that you are, that's why I've written it in the description, and that's why I say, like, use your own intuition to decide if this is a reflection for you. information for you to reflect on. And I'm saying it's a reflection, right? I'm not saying this is your fortune. I'm saying, like, here, I'm going to say some stuff. It might poke you in a little place, and then, like, maybe you can reflect on that and figure out why and what it means to you, and, like, how can that serve you. And I also try to share the tips that I know worked for me, in case that would be something that would help you as well, because I definitely don't want to, like, just poke you in the boo-boo spot and then, like, run away without making sure you have a tool to deal with that, you know? Yeah. So I really appreciate everybody who's using the service that way. And I'm really glad, like, because I feel like even if nobody ever watched these videos, I would still do them. You know? Kind of like when I was on that mental health site. And I'm not saying any of you guys are mentally ill or anything. I'm not diagnosing you or presuming anything, just so you know. And I don't identify with any labels other than, like, I'm a rainbow bridge builder. But what was I going to say? Darn it. I lost it. Oh well. Will it come back? Maybe not. Might really be gone, guys. I was saying I don't want to just poke you in the boo-boo place and not leave you without a tool. Oh, I was saying I would express this way just like I did on that website for the mentally ill, where I expressed in the forums, like I said, I ran my mouth and, like, it was just like whatever, like, you know. Lots of people just didn't even pay attention. Some people did. Some people interacted, but, like, none of it mattered, you know, because it's really just like I needed to express. Like, I am an expressive person. The other thing about my astrology chart is that you know, I have planets that are conjunct the MC, and the MC is where the world sees you, and so it's like I do really feel a need to express out there where the world can see me. But even if the world couldn't see me, I feel like I would still be expressing, you know? Like, I kind of, when I do express these ways, just so you know, I kind of act like you're not there. Like, I don't imagine that anyone's watching. And sometimes when I'll get a surge on a video and, like, a lot more people are watching, it'll remind me, like, oh yeah, remember that confidence thing that you kept getting in your oracle? I think this is why. You gotta make sure you're confident. And then I just gotta, like, shift anything that's, like, not feeling confident, like, ooh, like, what if I get one of those troll people? Or what if I get someone who strongly disagrees and has a need to tell me? Like, I don't like conflict, you know? But I am confident about what I say, but I feel like, I feel like I would just not want to have to deal with any of that bullshit, right? So Spirit sometimes will remind me, like, hey, no, get into that stance of, you know, you have the right to express, and that's what it is, right? You can be confident in that. So, yeah. And I feel like it has built my confidence to express this way, even though I'm pretending no one's watching, even though I know some people are watching, and even though it took time for me to get more comfortable with more people watching. I feel like it was a worthwhile process of, like, pushing myself out of my comfort zone originally in order to document. And I don't even know exactly when that was, you know. There was a time about 5 years ago where I think I really picked up the pace with trying to share. But prior to that, it's only been sporadic, and I'm mostly not on my YouTube channel. I mean, my oldest video might be 6 years old. I'm not, must be more. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I feel like I would express even if you weren't watching, and I do kind of pretend you're not watching, but I'm also glad that you do watch. And I'm glad if it does assist in any way. And I appreciate the feedback that I do get at times. I really do. So thank you for that. If you know who you are. Really, really, really do appreciate the, like, just hearing it, you know? I haven't had the displeasure of giving readings that people didn't like. I think only, I want to say 3, but really it was only 2. The third one came around, but 2 times I gave a reading where the people were less able to receive the message. But I trust that it wasn't because I was giving a bad message. It was actually just because I was being used to poke them in a place, like to point something out that was uncomfortable to them. And that has happened in plenty of places where the message was still well received, even though it was difficult to hear. And it's the different kind of people, right? It's like if I looked at one of the 2 people that did not enjoy getting the reading, he was coerced into it by someone else. Someone else said get it. They didn't want to get a reading themselves. They paid for this person to have the reading, and asked this person to get a reading. And so that right there is a flag for me. You know, that's not a person that recognized me as having something valuable to offer them. So that reading, you know, it's like the fact that they weren't able to take in what I was offering to them. That makes sense. You know, they're a person who let somebody else talk them into doing something that apparently they didn't really want to do, and they weren't drawn to doing it. And that's fine, you know. And what was the other one? I can't even remember what the other reading was. Oh, yeah. And then the one other time, so this lady, she was in denial. So she wanted me to barter with her. She was a masseuse, and we were at a festival. And so I said, sure. And at the end of the night, when all the readings were done, she came over to my booth, and I did a reading for her, and it was coming up about the relationship she was in. And it was spirit kind of talking about some sort of dysfunctional pattern that was in the relationship. And she was just like, nah. And that was a difficult reading for me because I always ask spirit to give me messages that are most helpful, you know? And I didn't like giving a reading where she was in denial, but you know, what can I say? She was in denial. And the whole reason I was doing the reading was because she was wanting to barter. And it might have been more about the barter than anything. Not that she wanted a reading, but that she just wanted us to be mutually respectful. Or maybe she just really wanted to give me a massage, which she did do after I gave her the reading that she said that she didn't resonate with. And that's what happened. And then this other third one where I said the person finally came around, it was a difficult message to deliver. And I just got softer and softer with it as I was delivering it, and asked some questions. And it was kind of interesting because, like, I said something, she said, nah. And then I asked a question a minute or two later, and then her answer revealed that the thing I had said was true. So it was just like one of those things where I think for that woman, she was doing it because her other family members were doing it. It was at an event, you know, a public event where I was set up. So she didn't really know what she was getting into, but she was just participating because other members in her party were doing it. And I think she was just very, very afraid of being vulnerable. That was why. So I just got, like I said, softer and softer with the delivery of the message, to where she needed it to be very soft, you know? And then she opened it, and then she was like, yeah, and then she admitted and resonated with the message I was giving. So I was glad for that. So maybe that's where my confidence comes from, right? I've done hundreds and hundreds of readings, and I've never had but those three. Well, I'm going to even just say two. I've never had but those two be flops, I guess you could say. But I didn't go into it all that confident, you know. I started by offering free astrology readings, and they were intuitive readings. I would use my intuition because at that time I was getting clear guidance from my intuition on the astrology chart and being told where to look and being told what to say. and after doing, you know, I don't know, 50 of those or so, it was kind of like, oh yeah, I think I'm pretty good at this because I'm getting a lot of feedback that would indicate that I'm accurate, and I can do this. And I think that in other lifetimes I've, you know, mastered or studied, I'll say, because I don't know if you can master astrology, but I've studied astrology in other lifetimes, so I think that's why it kind of came naturally to me. And no, it's not something that I'm continuing to do or offer because, like, because I kind of came to the point where I realized, oh, we can transcend the chart. And then I kind of got to this point where it's like, well, if I talk about it in a different way, if I use cards and oracle cards that I make, then I can pinpoint in on the programs and the defense mechanisms and all that. Whereas if I'm just using astrology, I can kind of just talk about the ingredients that makes it up. You know what? It has a little bit to do with the confidence, I'm just realizing right now, because astrology, I thought it was going to be the neighborhood dog or something. I heard something on my screen. Astrology doesn't pinpoint and call things out unless you do. And because when I have a card that says the thing, it felt more comfortable for me to say it. You know what I mean? It was like I got my card saying, like, this is the case, like, it's not coming from me, you know? Yeah. So interesting. So I probably could use the chart to get just as accurate messages. I just had chosen not to, probably because I was still working on my confidence. So yeah, just realizing that now. And there were times that I did say specific things with charts, and there was nothing in the chart that would have indicated that. It was just my intuition, and I would say it. And every time I trusted myself to say it, people would confirm it. And so I just let myself do that more and more because, you know, those specific things you say are the things that are actually going to catch that person and be relevant for them. I can remember on Simbi one time, I was doing a card reading, an oracle reading for a woman. Never met her before. She didn't give me any background information. We bartered for a reading. I forget what she was doing for me. She might have just paid me in Simbi, which is the currency on the Simbi app. And the Sun, S-O-N, the Sun card came out on the board, and I believe maybe it came out in reverse. And what I got from that, just the word the son, your son, like a male child. What I got from it being in reverse was that there was a passed on child, and I said it, and it was scary as fuck to say. It was very scary to say because I didn't have anything to prove it to me. I didn't know the lady, and I certainly didn't want to scare her if she had a son who was alive. And I just took a leap of faith and I said it, and she came back and was just like, wow, yeah, I do have a son who passed away. And it was just little things like that over the years that Spirit just used to show me, like, you can trust what you're getting. So I trust what I'm getting. Yeah. All right. I hope this didn't come off also as a plea for you to, understand that I'm trying to be nice. Wasn't that either. I think this was just a ramble, maybe just letting you know my point of view a little bit more. And maybe that's important for somebody. So I'll see you soon in the next one.